Welcome to the Milford Board of Selectmen for our meeting for Monday, March 18th, 2013. Before we get started with the regular meeting, I would like to have a little ceremony off to the side of our table and ask our town administrator to come up with me.
You gotta go around.
You gotta get out.
You know about this?
No, we didn't.
Right here?
Next to that cousin.
Yeah. You should be honored that you have so many people coming here asking you to stay on longer.
I think they're here to hang us.
It's sort of a bittersweet moment, I think, for us and the town hall. I think all of us are certainly very pleased and wish Lewis and his family all the best with his decision to retire and do other things. But there is certainly a large degree of sadness among all of us. I've worked with Lewis as a member of the Board of Selectmen since 2001, and before that I had the pleasure of working with him as a member of the school committee from 1989 until 1996, when he was the Director of Transportation and also the Director of Community Use. Lewis has always been very, very conscientious, efficient, and has handled all of his responsibilities in a very, very professional and hard to believe if you go by his office door sometimes, but in a quiet manner. You know, if you think back over time, there have not been a lot of headlines about the town administrator. But that's certainly not to indicate that work was not done. The type of work that Lewis did was behind the scenes, detailed, efficient, and conscientious. And that's the kind of work that I've always known him to do, and he's going to be missed. There's no question about it. I don't want to overstate it, but, you know, the kind of job that he's done, it gets taken for granted. I mean, we know that the budget packages are going to be ready. We know the agenda packages are going to be ready. We know that if we need communication with the Finance Committee, we're going to have it. All of this stuff just happened really seamlessly. And of course, it's not an accident. It's through hard work. So on behalf of Dino and Bill, would like to present this to you as our thank you from the town of Milford for all of your time, your dedication, and your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 2 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Brian, Dean. As I said when I put in my papers, it's been my pleasure, been my privilege to work for the town of Milford for 39 years. I've worked with some great people. I've made some great friends. A couple of them came out tonight. I want to thank those that did come out tonight. They know who they are, and I thank you all. I appreciate it. And again, thank you all. Good luck.
So before you go, we've got our representative here, and
Better not be a citation. Better not be a citation.
you know we can't stop him from talking.
Although, I want you to understand, I framed this one. And I took the frame away from my son's Eagle Scout thing.
That's nice.
So I know you can't throw it away now.
Now Michael's going to be mad.
John, is that the one you bought at Kmart on sale?
No. It was Home Goods. No, actually, Lewis has been a lifelong friend of mine. And Mr. Patnari, Mr. Dagnes, and other folks who are in the room and others who couldn't be here. It is a very weird feeling to be saying to you, I have a citation in honor of your service to the community, because if you're getting older, I'm getting older. If you're leaving, then I think they're going to expect that I'm going to be leaving too. But it really is amazing to me that we've reached this point. There was a thing I read about getting older and working, where two people were talking, and one said to the other, yeah, it does get hard. The days are long, but the years are short. We slug our way through every day, and it feels like we're exhausted at the end, but we turn around and we look up and we say, where'd all the years go? We know that your years went into service to the community. Brian mentioned transportation, and I learned when I got on the school committee, there's one thing you don't mess with in school affairs. You can play around with the curriculum, you can play around with academics. Do not touch the child's transportation to school. You ran it with efficiency. You started and ran a community use program that truly today utilizes our schools almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in a way that is a model for around the country, never mind just for what we do here in town, accessing those programs for our community. And then coming down here and having served as a selectman as well, I know how difficult it is to manage three somewhat diverse personalities and opinions about how public service should be delivered. But you see democracy in action tonight. That's what it's about, and you did manage it well over all those years. To your wife, Elaine, he's coming home. Jillian, Chris, thank God you're out of the house. But we know that you will have the best neighborhood, the cleanest house, the best yard, and my yard will be available for work as well. But honestly, it's a citation, and I know that it's important to me to be able to offer it to you with all seriousness, congratulating you for your retirement, but thanking you for your lifetime of dedicated public service to the town of Milford and its residents, serving as the Milford School Transportation Coordinator, Community Use Director, and Town Administrator. And it's signed by Bob DeLeo, Speaker of the House, and offered by your friend, State Representative John Franes. Lou, thanks for all.
We got a meeting to do. All right, for one last time, Louis, we have a meeting.
Let's go.
Excuse me,
Okay.
do you know that there's almost 200 people outside that want to hear this meeting?
The first item that we have is the signing of the warrant.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have meeting minutes of March 4th.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? That too is unanimous. Citizen participation. Is there anyone who would like to address the board that's not on the agenda? Yes, ma'am?
What are you going to do about the 200 people that are outside that could be accommodated in the hall upstairs?
Ma'am, this is where we meet. We have the TV set up. We think it's very important for the folks at home to be able to watch our meeting on TV. And this is where the Board of Selectmen meets. So that's what we're doing this evening.
Respectful to the residents that put themselves out to come here tonight for this meeting. You folks know it's an important agenda. You should have secured a large enough hall to accommodate everybody.
Well, thank you very,
Respectful. I don't care if it's on TV, that's great. The people that want to stay home can watch it on TV, but there's a lot of people here that you owe the courtesy to secure a bigger hall.
well, thank you very much, sir, but this is the room that we're having the meeting in. So we're going to go forward with the meeting.
Is there a reason for it?
Because this is the room where the selectmen meet, and this is the room that we've set up.
A few people that would show up, or what about all the people that are standing out here? We're taxpayers of the town of Milford. We want to hear the meeting.
The meeting is broadcast on TV. You're welcome to watch it on TV. This is where we have our meeting.
We've elected you
Should planning somewhere else.
to accommodate us. I mean, I don't understand this.
I appreciate your concern, sir, but we feel with the agenda we have tonight, we have an appropriate meeting space, as we always do in our room. Yeah.
Did you look how many people are out there? Did any one of you look at how many people are out there, and there's still people outside to come in?
You drove in,
That's
saw
a
the
very
sign.
big issue in Milford.
Okay.
Very big issue.
That's it. Okay. Your concern is noted. Thank you. Would like to get on with the meeting.
Well, the meeting is useless. These people are out here, they can't hear it. You have a public speaking system out here? No.
So the first appointment that we have tonight,
Represent the people of Milford.
the first appointment that we have tonight is with Frank Saber, the president and CEO of Milford Regional Medical Center. Frank, welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to meet with you this evening. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Jerry.
You can sit, you just bend it.
And Lou, congratulations on your retirement. Best wishes to you. I think I'd like to start by introducing some of the folks that are with me this evening. I have on my left some of the folks from the Edward M. Kennedy.
Excuse me, ma'am, please. That's a microphone for TV. It's not an amplification for this room. Frank, continue.
To my left are some folks from the Edward M. Kennedy Health Center, and there's also a few staff from the Milford Hospital that are with me this evening. I'll start by introducing the staff from the hospital who are with me. In the row behind me is Dr. Al Cromaldi, who's the past chairman of the hospital board and a practicing gastroenterologist at the hospital. And we also have down the end there Ellen Friedman, who is working in the foundation office, and Kathleen Cochran behind her, who's also working in the foundation office. And we all appreciate having a chance to talk with you for a few minutes. And then we have some folks from the Edward M. Kennedy Health Center, and maybe Leah could do the honors of introducing everybody.
Hi, I'm Leah Gallivan. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Health Center. To my left is Maria Koppenrath, the Chief Financial Officer, and Marcy Ravitch, who is our Vice President for Philanthropy and Community Programs.
And we are here, Chairman Murray, to talk about the Community Health Center, Primary Care Center that we are working with the Edward M. Kennedy folks on developing here in Milford. And we are very excited about the opportunity to have this Primary Care Center created down here in Milford. And we certainly appreciate the fact that the community and the town officials have supported our organization so enthusiastically over the years. And it's clear that this community understands the value of a first-class healthcare system to the quality of life here in this region. And we're most grateful for everybody's support. And one of our major goals as a healthcare institution has been to improve access to care, particularly primary care, for all the residents of the towns that we serve, seniors, adolescents, and any of the vulnerable populations that need basic care. The access issue was identified through the efforts of a coalition of provider agencies, educators, and town officials and consumers who came together over the last 18 months to take a look at what we thought were some of the larger community healthcare needs here in the Milford area. And the needs that we identified included, number one was access to care. Number two was management of chronic diseases such as diabetes. Number three was behavioral health issues, mental health issues, and what can be done about improving the care for those patients. And a fourth area was care for adolescents. The access problems exist for reasons that you're probably very familiar with. There's quite a shortage of primary care physicians these days, and the doctor shortage is probably worse than most people realize. Population is getting older, and that population needs more care. And at the same time, physicians are getting older. There's a statistic that I read recently, although I don't consider this too old, but nearly half of the nation's 830,000 physicians are over the age of 50. So many of those physicians are approaching the point when they want to cut back on their work and possibly retire. And more individuals these days are being insured, and they need primary care doctors as well. We could do better in this country in terms of overall health care. We need to work harder at developing the programs that produce the best outcomes. And today, in terms of the shortage, we only have about 16,000 primary care doctors. Those are the doctors who do a lot of the basic treatment, preventative screening that save lives and avoid things like hospitalizations and visits to the emergency room. And why is this shortage so severe? Well, a lot of physicians now that are graduating from medical school do not want to go into primary care. It's not as well-paying a specialty as some of the other specialties that they could go into. And a lot of them, as you know, graduate with huge debt, and they're looking for a way to cover that debt as quickly as possible. On top of that, primary care doctors have tremendous administrative burdens that they have to deal with in terms of paperwork and regulations. Now, what are the implications of not having access to primary care? Really, it means poor health for individuals who can't get basic care. It means increased use of the emergency room, the expensive emergency room for basic non-emergency care. And that all results in the increase in the cost of care. It's very expensive to be in the hospital. It's very expensive to be in an emergency room. And it's very expensive to postpone taking care of yourself because you can't get to a physician or to a facility that provides basic primary care. The solutions: train more primary care doctors. And at Milford, we're working hard to find more primary care doctors and recruit them to this area to address some of the shortages that I talked about. Another approach is to create new models of care that combine both a physician with a mid-level professional like a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant. Those models are starting to spring up around the country now. And a third idea, and that's why we're here tonight, is to create more of these community health centers that are meant to improve access to care, to basic care for the folks who most need that basic care. Why the community health centers? They use a very strong team approach. They also attract primary care doctors because they have incentives to help primary care doctors retire some of their debt by practicing in a community health center. And we at Milford are very pleased to be able to partner with the folks at the Kennedy Health Center who have tremendous experience in developing these primary care centers. And we expect that this new center is going to be a wonderful resource for this community and provide very good, comprehensive, basic primary care. And we look forward to working with them as they continue to develop the plans to put this center in place. And we're hoping by next fall that the center will be up and running. And thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about my perspective on this. And now I'd like to turn it over to Leah to mention some of the thoughts from the Edward M. Kennedy Health Center.
Thank you so much again for having us here tonight. As Frank said, I'm Leah Gallivan, but I'm here on behalf of our CEO and President, Tony McGuire, our Board of Directors, and our staff. I'll try to do the best I can. We're very happy and grateful, actually, to have worked with the Greater Milford Health Access Coalition over the past few years. We've gotten to know a number of people in Milford, in the greater community and in the healthcare community, and we're really looking forward to continuing that work ahead. We were asked, actually, to be part of the coalition in order to explore the possibility of bringing a health center to Milford, because as Frank said, like many communities, primary care access is not enough for what exists already. This was actually consistent with our own strategic plans, where we looked at the patients that come to our health centers, our existing health centers, and almost 800 residents of Milford come to our health center in Framingham and in Worcester. So this was very consistent with our plans. Just a few words about the health center. We were established 40 years ago, so we've been around for a long time. Our mission is to provide people of all ages and income levels with high-quality, affordable health care in their own communities. The health center includes a comprehensive primary care site in Worcester, where we have medical, dental, behavioral health care, social services, a lab, a pharmacy, and a variety of medical specialties. We also have a beautiful new building in downtown Framingham, which is mainly primary care. We have 3 standalone dental offices in Framingham, Worcester, and Clinton, and we have 5 school-based health centers in the Worcester and Framingham schools. Our approach to primary care, as Frank said, emphasizes a healthcare home, where a team of professionals provide care and preventive care and treatment, and where the patient is really an integral part of the whole team. Last year, we served 24,000 residents of Central Massachusetts, Metro West, and beyond. So just to talk a little bit about what the plans are for Milford. First of all, I want to acknowledge the 2 foundations that are supporting us to build this health center. the Healthcare Foundation of Central Mass, and the Metro West Healthcare Foundation. So after looking at numerous locations in Milford, and I mean numerous, we finally found a suitable place for the health center. It's close to the hospital, it has great parking, and it's very accessible. We're building a brand-new addition onto an existing building where the hospital actually has its physical therapy services. This space will include 9 exam rooms, several offices and consult rooms, a lab on site, and rooms for group visits. As Frank said, we'll open our doors sometime this fall. Our plan is to have 2 to 3 medical providers as we open, go up to 4 by the end of the second year. And we'll have, of course, nurses, medical assistants, front office staff to support them. Our intent is not to reinvent the wheel, but to partner with community agencies to be able to provide the services that our patients may need beyond what we can provide. We'll be working with a hospital on lab, on radiology, on specialty care, and we'll be working with other community agencies on behavioral health care and other important services that our patients need. From the beginning, we'll hire a community health worker who can help connect people to some of the existing services. In summary, I think the benefits are that there'll be more primary care access in the community of Milford for seniors, for children and adolescents, for adults, for those with chronic diseases, all through the age spectrum. There are economic advantages to the community. In community health, in communities where community health centers are, they are economic engines for their community. And we're excited to be part of this vibrant community. We've already got to know that this is a special place, so we look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Frank, that wants to
I don't know, Al, do you want to say?
address anything? Or?
I would just like to, reiterate essentially what Frank has said. It's really part of the character of the institution of the hospital to care for those outside its walls. And to have a community center such as this in Milford really sort of highlights the quality of this community, that it's going to take care of those who are just a little less fortunate and make available the kind of care that many of us have had the opportunity to obtain. So it really, to me, is a win-win. The opportunity to work with an established center such as the Edward M. Kennedy Center is really a positive for this community, and I think we're going to see that we all will help not only offload some of the stress on our emergency room, but improve the care of this community such that they're more productive and happier people to be here. So I hope this is something the community can embrace and feel very positive about.
Sounds wonderful. Where is it going to be located?
Cape Road.
Cape Road.
Cape Road.
Oh, okay.
Yes. We have a physical therapy department there right now, Brian, and we also have our ear, nose, and throat physicians practice there.
All right.
Right near
there.
that Papagino's and
Yeah,
CVS.
okay. Okay.
So we're adding on.
It's a great location.
Yeah, it's a good
Sure,
spot.
sure. Good. Well, let me turn it over to the board. Dean?
Yeah, Frank, thank you for coming in. The committee's been working for a long time and done a great job. And it's just amazing. You look at the town of Milford, we feel it's a special place. The hospital is a gem. I mean, the outstanding physicians, Dr. Gamaldi, all the other staff, the nurses, the aides, the custodian, and the work that you've done, Frank, tremendous leadership, dedication, in making sure that this medical center is the best around and the best in the state. And just look at what's happened in the recent years with Dana-Farber, all the lives that have saved, the hospital, the reputation, all those signs that say #1, and I think there are 10 of them on Prospect Street. So it just doesn't happen. It's the work, the dedication, and but everything starts from one individual, and that's you, Frank. I mean, the way you're respected in that hospital, from the person who's doing an operation to the person who's sweeping the floor, and all the patients, the residents, it's just outstanding. And as my father always says, you have so much respect. You're revered, respected, you're admired. You're like the Pope at that place. And I think that's a well-deserved distinction.
I don't know if I've ever heard that before, huh?
So Pope Saber.
Papa Frank.
Works.
So, Frank, like we've said many, many years ago, this board, any board, the town of Milford, we'll always do whatever we can for Milford Hospital.
You've all been wonderful to us,
And,
and we so appreciate it.
we dedicate this. We thank you for this, and hopefully we can get going. The robotic surgery that was in the paper recently, and people are talking about that. So I think everything that's done in this beautiful hospital has a tremendous benefit to the people of Milford in the area, and just keep going and keep working and keep having meetings. So good luck to everybody. Good luck.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
Father,
you.
thank you, Father.
Bill?
No, we certainly look forward to the partnership that is starting here, and certainly the Kennedy Community Health Center. Dino said a lot of the great things that are happening in Milford Hospital, and I would just like to echo that. You're taking care of so many of our community, so many of my family members, myself included. The quality care is fantastic, and the culture that you've created there, Mr. Saba's second to none. So you've earned that. This is an opportunity to say that, and for the people that are partnering with you, you certainly set a high bar for patient-centered community and health care. So we look forward to working with you, and there's a lot of good things happening that have already happened, and we look forward to good things happening in the future. Dr. Grimaldi, good to see you again, and the other members of the staff, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so
and
much.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And Frank, you know, if there's anything that we need to do to help out, don't hesitate.
Thanks, Frank.
Good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.
Tough meeting.
Bye, Judy. Yeah, we'll see you.
Thanks for coming.
We gave that to you.
No, take care, girl. We'll see you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Yes, I know.
Good luck with everything.
No, I want to.
Sure.
A lot of times
Love
at the end of
to.
the day, my legs are gone, so I can't go. You know? But
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
yeah, okay, sure. All right, bye-bye.
Careful of the trip hazard there, that's all.
Good job.
It's almost like I want to come out of retirement.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
nice
thank
to
you.
meet you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, fellas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'll be around.
You want me to give you a microphone?
Oh yeah,
it's
no, yeah,
unbelievable.
wonderful guy. Yeah, done a
What a
great
gentleman.
job.
Oh.
Done a great job. Okay, the next item that we have is an application to transfer a restaurant all alcohol license. This is a public hearing. Let me read the notice. The Board of Selectmen hereby gives notice that it received an application from the Crystal Room Corporation, DBA The Crystal Room, 49 Cedar Street, Milford, to transfer their restaurant all alcoholic license to the Crystal Room, Inc. The corporation names Keith E. Usher, President and Treasurer, and Andrew Noyes, Secretary. The proposed manager is Timothy Nero. The corporation also seeks to pledge the license as security to the Milford National Bank and Trust Company. The premises located at 49 Cedar Street consists of a banquet hall with a main entrance fronting on Cedar Street, 2 exit doors, a bar area, and a function hall area on the front floor. The lower floor has a bar area, function rooms, kitchen and storage areas, and men's and women's bathroom facilities with additional exits and entrances. Pursuant to MGL Chapter 138 as amended, the Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on said application Monday, March 18, 2013, in Room 3 of the Milford Town Hall. Reading from our town informational sheet, the building commissioner has indicated that the property is located in an RB zone, non-conforming use building, and restrooms are accessible. The town planner has stated that the zoning board special permit was approved February 14th of this year. The tax collector, town treasurer indicates no issues, as does the fire chief and the police chief. And the Board of Health has indicated that they are presently working with the owners on the application plans and review. In addition to the all alcohol license application, there is a transfer application for a common victular license, as well as a transfer of an existing live entertainment license. We also have the petition for transfer of ownership pursuant to the ABCC forms, along with the application for the retail alcoholic beverage license. And I believe that completes the paperwork that has been presented to us. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Attorney Pettinari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually here tonight filling in for Attorney Antonellis, who's away. He called me last week and asked me if I might be available, and since I was going to be here anyway to pay my respects to Mr. Solazzi, I gladly volunteered for the task this evening. I'm here tonight with Mr. Usher, Mr. Noyes, and Mr. Nero, who are before you seeking to have the license to the premises situated on Cedar Street transferred to their new corporation. Mr. Usher has created an LLC, purchased the property, and has already invested substantial sums of money in it. He's gotten the necessary zoning permits from the Zoning Board of Appeals and is here tonight seeking to transfer the common Vittler license, the all alcohol pouring license, and the live entertainment license. Just one word about that all entertainment license. There's some concern that there be a representation before the board that their expectation would be that on evenings when they have functions in the facility that might go past midnight, the band or the DJ might play later than midnight. And what the suggestion was being made was that we were going to suggest it might be reasonable to tie the timing of the entertainment license to the pouring license as well. But beyond that, the application speaks for itself. There was one thing that we weren't able to present before Mr. Antonellis was called out of town, and that was the floor plans of the building. Those I delivered to Mr. Solazzi this evening, so the application is complete. Very briefly and very quickly, the facility is the former KFC Hall, Century House, and if you're old like some of us in the room, you might remember it as the drive-in park on Cedar Street. What Mr. Usher and Mr. Noyes and Mr. Nero propose to do is to reestablish the function room component of that building, offering it for weddings and Jack and Jills and those kinds of festive occasions. As I said, there's a substantial investment of monies already into the building. All told, it will be an investment in excess of $1 million. It will take that building and it will put it back into a prime area of functionality, and frankly will be, we believe, a good and valuable contributor to the economy of the town of Milford, and offer a service that is presently lacking in the town, at least on the scale that that facility can give. I think you're all familiar with the building. It's about a 9,500 square foot building. They will be doing some interior renovations, not making any significant exterior improvements. And we're here to answer any questions you may have, but that's basically an overview of where we're coming from tonight.
What is the hours that you're looking for operation?
For the functions itself?
Yeah, or I guess to be open.
There could be daytime functions during the week. There could be some corporate meetings or things of that nature, charitable events. So it mostly would be very late morning, and most of the time it would be done by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. On occasion, there might be an evening wedding or something on a Friday or Saturday. There might be a New Year's Eve event or...
Until 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so we'd like to link the pouring license to the entertainment license.
Yeah, just to get a sense of what the hours are going to show up on the license.
Yeah.
It's not their intention to do anything outside of the function room component of the building. In other words, when the premises are being used for a function, they would be in operation, and they'd want to have the common Vittler and the pouring licenses available to them for those kinds of festivities.
Sure. Yeah. I just didn't know what the hours where you want these licenses.
That would be driven and determined by the client that would be booking the facility.
So on this license, you're going to need a wide open window to accommodate whatever
Correct.
customer comes forward. Okay, let me turn it over to the board.
Yeah.
Sorry, Louis?
The regular hours set by the ABCC, which the town of Milford has adopted, would be Monday, Thursday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., Friday, 8 to 2 a.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Sunday, 11 to 1 a.m. So that's the standard
Okay.
for,
Yeah, the only thing that I don't know if would need a special permit, there's occasions that we would do a fundraiser for We Love Children or a charitable event that might be a breakfast on a Sunday morning, and we are definitely going to be doing some of those. I don't know if we're going to need to come for a special permit for one of those events if that does come up.
The board can authorize 10 a.m. on Sundays.
yes, 10 a.m. on Sundays, the
Okay.
board can,
That would
yes.
be,
That would be, that would be sufficient. That would be the only thing I could see that would happen.
and the run-of-the-mill functions that they basically are proposing to do would all be over before the normal closing hours on any of those licensed premises.
Okay.
But the concern would be that there be a clear understanding that for New Year's Eve and those kinds of things, it might go past midnight.
Okay. And you've already started some renovations? or-
Yes,
yeah.
we're more than 50% complete. We're in there plastering as we speak, and we have, our projections is about 6 weeks before total completion.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it looks great, you know, as you drive by, that whole area is getting cleaned up very nicely.
Yeah,
So we appreciate that.
we're very excited about it.
Yeah. Dean?
Mr. Usher, will it be handicap accessible fully?
Everything that is there before, we kept the same. The main function room will be, but the lower level is not. So there are handicap bathrooms up on the main level, and a ramp, and all the requirements, because the building inspector has been through it several times already to make sure that,
Yeah, because that's a, wonderful facility. We all remember when it was a Century House, and at one time, when the Little League parades, they would always open up, give coffee and stuff like that to the parents and kids. So I think this is, very good for the area. The neighborhood, I think, is excited because it's always fit in nicely. And the only thing I would recommend, Aaron, just touch bases with the chairman of the COD, Commission on Disability, just to make sure that everything is done right.
Yep.
So that people with wheelchairs and that can't walk too well can take advantage of the facilities like everyone else. But otherwise, I'm excited, and I'm glad we straightened that out about the hours. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
We'll make sure of that.
Bill?
Yeah, no, it's good to see the facility return back to a function hall, what Milford has always known it, what it was for years. That was one of the questions I had, because the application's incomplete as it was written, and doesn't have hours. And so, part of the question I had was, what are you applying for?
Yeah, no, we're gonna run it just as functions, and the hours would be driven by the client.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any concerns. I think some of the things that Dino mentions, certainly with respect to handicapped access and those less mobile, certainly benefit your business. Those are the people that have to come in for weddings, and everybody wants their grandmother to attend a wedding.
Certainly.
So it's in your best interest, and meeting with that commission would certainly be a wise idea. I don't have any other questions or comments, Mr. Chairman.
So, this being a public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that has any question or comment on the application from Crystal Room Corporation?
Mr.
No?
Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is this the casino issue that we're talking about?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, then I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you for your permission. Yeah?
Yes, I'd like to know that live entertainment, is that stripping or is that just being?
It's not allowed in the zone, but I'll allow you to address that. It's not allowed in the
It's
district.
music and DJs that are appropriate to the functions that will be being conducted on the facility.
Yeah, the property is not within a zoning district that would allow the application for a special permit of that nature. Any other comments? If not, let's see, we
Need some
have
motions, huh, Mr. Chairman?
three
Yeah.
three licenses that we're looking to transfer. Am I correct, Louis? Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made to transfer the restaurant all alcohol license, the common victual
Victual
license,
and the live
live
entertainment.
entertainment license.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Good luck.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good luck. Good night.
Good luck.
Okay, the next item is Ken Rocket and the Casino Free Milford. And from what I understand through Ken, I think John Seaver and Steve Treadle are going to be making a presentation. Is that right, John?
Yes.
Okay. As you're aware, I was at one of your meetings. As you're ready, John?
I'm ready, Chairman.
Okay. I was at one of your meetings and heard the information, found it interesting, and it was I that approached Ken Rocket and invited your organization to this meeting. So we're very happy here to hear whatever information you can present. This is not a public hearing. As you know, there is no proposal before the town. This is simply information gathering for our board, because we need to get as much information as we can. Okay, so with that, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you again, and Selectman Buckley and Selectman DeBartolomeo, and of course, congratulations to Town Administrator Solazzi. Good luck in your retirement. As you know, I'm John Seaver, a lifelong Milford resident, and my co-presenter tonight is Steve Treadle, who's also a lifelong Milford resident. We're the co-chairs of this organization of concerned Milford individuals and people from the area who are very concerned with the placement of the casino here in Milford. I'll give a quick overview of where we are, and then Steve will add some additional comments. As you know, the state has set up a two-phased process. We're in the middle of phase one, where a background check and other kinds of background information is being gathered, and if the applicant passes that, we move quickly to phase two. Phase two, we suspect will happen sometime in the May-June timeframe. And the purpose of phase two is the creation of a host agreement, which is really a contract between the town of Milford and the casino developer. And the core of that agreement would be identifying areas where of mitigation, where how the casino would be impacting the town of Milford, and what are some recommendations and things that would be needed. And once that host agreement is signed and agreed to, that becomes the basis of the popular referendum vote, which we anticipate to happen sometime in late fall, early winter. And then if there's a no vote on that, at that point, the whole thing dies. If there's a yes vote, it goes to town meeting, and then ultimately to the State Gaming Commission, who has indicated they want to make the decisions on these licenses by February of 2014. So we're sort of backing in our estimates from that date. But Steve, you want to take over from there?
Sure. Should I?
Sure, that's fine.
However you feel comfortable, Steve.
So everyone
Yeah.
can hear you out back.
Whatever you'd like.
This is only for TV, right?
That's for
Yeah.
TV,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, tonight's presentation is only a summary and highlights that John and I are going to do of what our Casino-Free Milford movement has researched on how this proposed development will impact our community. We have given you several packages here of more complete information. One of them is the presentation that John and I are given, which is kind of like an executive summary. That would be the overheads.
Okay.
And then the wire-bound thing is the presentation John and I are doing.
Okay.
And the other report is basically the research that our group has done so far that will contain all the references to studies and so forth that back up what we're saying. So we're going to keep it just to the statements, and all the backup is in that report.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So we want to emphasize that Casino-Free Milford is not opposed to gambling. That's a personal choice. And we're not anti-casino proponents, as we've been labeled. Our information that we're going to give you tonight and in those reports is not speculation or sound bites. It's based on sound research of community impact studies and data from towns similar to Milford who are now living with the decision to host a casino. We've concluded, basically, through our preliminary studies here, that Milford is not an appropriate location for a destination casino complex. And we are here to present that information to you tonight.
Thanks, Steve. So the first item that we wanted to go through, we have 12 different items, so we'll move quickly, is the actual siting of where the casino is proposed to be. And to a great extent, it's in a residential area. And we have found no other casinos in the United States that have been placed in a suburban residential kind of situation that's being proposed here. There's 42 single-family homes and 45 casinos within 1/3 of a mile of the condominiums. Both of those together worth about $35 million in appraised value. Those individuals would be directly impacted through traffic and noise and all kinds of things. We have found no other casinos in the United States that have been put in a residential area such as that.
Okay, we're going to start talking about infrastructure now. We'll start with water. Similar-sized casino developments around the country use somewhere between 500,000 to 750,000 gallons per day.
Okay, all right.
Need to go on more, John. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
Steve, I was just going to ask,
Yes.
for the people at home.
We're forgetting to click ahead here. Sorry.
That's okay, take your time.
So, the project which the water company currently has underway is to address water quality, not water quantity. Okay. And so the current situation with quantity is that most of Milford's water supply is surface water from Echo Lake and the watershed that supports that feeds that lake. The Echo Lake watershed is limited in the quantity of water it can provide. And the town is fast approaching that limit and has to impose water bans during periods of low rainfall. Now, the water company has had to supplement with some wells, but we have limited aquifers in this town that we can put into service. So now you add the casino demand, and let's first start off by pointing out that the water company, as you know, is private and it's under state regulation, but it's out of Milford's control. So as a private enterprise, they'll be motivated, as a business to sell water to such a large development. They're a business, and we don't question that. The only source of water, new water, is wells. Years to permit and install, and no guarantee that we'll find enough water to meet that new demand, and high cost to operate and maintain. The existing water quality plant that's under construction right now will also have to be expanded. Milford taxpayers would be faced with having to pay forever through their rates and their water bills for the expanded infrastructure and the operating costs. So the bottom line is, if this proposal moves forward, the developer must pay for all water supply infrastructure expansion and operating costs because his delta of use is what's causing that to have to happen, and we think this should be non-negotiable in the agreement. Sewer, without getting into the numerous infrastructure details, a similar scenario applies to our sewer treatment plant and sewer piping system. John Mainetti, director of operations there at the plant, ballparks something between $18 and $23 million in upgrades and operating costs is projected over the next 20 years, and he's budgeting for it and working at that. If the casino proposal is implemented, all of this has to happen now. All of this has to happen now. So bottom line again, developer must be required to pay for all sewer upgrade, and that again should be non-negotiable. John?
The next topic is the effect of casinos on crime. And there is a direct positive correlation between casinos coming to town and a rise in crime. The U.S. News and World Report did a study a couple of years ago, and they found that casino communities have an 84% higher rate of crime than the national average. And so, also, I wanted to add that the Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut which is a full-scale casino, similar to what is being proposed here, they have 55,000 daily visitors on the weekends and 40,000 daily visitors during the week. That's the kind of traffic and population that, in that range that we may be having to deal with. So that's going to seriously impact our traffic, but particularly our crime. We found that 30% of all DUI traffic stops in the state of Connecticut occur within 10 miles of the casinos. And we found that the violent and property crime rates in the neighboring casino towns increased 30% 5 years after the casinos opened. Some crimes that had appreciable increases were embezzlement, drug violations, and DUI. DUI arrests have more than doubled since 1992 when Foxwoods opened, and roughly 20% of the motorists in Montville, Ledyard, and North Stonington arrested for DUI acknowledged to police that their last drink was at a casino. So there'll be a huge increased burden on the Milford Police Department to deal with the new crime that would occur here. Steve?
If I could just stop you 1 second, John, and you have the backup for all of this information
Yes.
in this document?
Presentation to be heard.
Yes, this is, as Steve said, this is the executive summary. We have all the different source documents identified.
This is one of the backups here.
Okay. Is that in
Yeah.
here,
Touch
Steve?
on that.
or Is that in this one? No. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get situated. Okay.
Yeah, Brian, as you can
That's
see,
in the overhead, Brian.
right, as you can see, right here, Brian, police calls in Norwich, Connecticut, which is adjacent to the casino town. It's where the casino workers live. It's got the demographics like Milford. And we compared it to Glastonbury, which is not within the casino area. And it's, so they're semi-similar towns. You can see police calls are 3 times as much, emergency calls 2 and 3 times as much, and so forth. It's much greater in the town of Norwich, which is right next, 2 miles from Foxwoods.
Those are key things that might be of interest to the police chief here.
Yeah. Let's move on, Steve.
Okay. Key element and part of this proposal by the proponent is that we're going to have isolated access to the site from Interstate 495. That's really an essential part of the proposal. The addition of another interchange on 495 between 85 and 109. And while this is one of the main features of the project, highlighted by the developer, we suggest that you don't drink the Kool-Aid just yet. Because this seems improbable because of the Federal Highway Administration rules about interchanges for the interstate highway system. To summarize these rules, all new interchanges must provide access in both directions. And to construct that, you need land on both sides of 495. The developer does not control the needed land on the west side of 495 because that's where Target, Toyota, Best Buy, and a hotel are. There's not room to construct that on-off ramp going south, on-off ramp going north. Going north, they can do it. Going south is problematic.
Well, it would be impossible, wouldn't it, Steve?
Just about, unless Target wants to sell out.
If you're going southbound, you'd have to do what? There'd have to be
You have
an
to do a
exit coming
flyover.
over the
Yeah, it's a
northbound
bridge
lane?
that would be built over
Okay.
the northbound.
Similar to Cimarano Drive.
Very similar to Cimarano Drive.
Okay,
Yeah, just
Okay.
like that. That would be the requirement there.
okay.
And you need land on the other side to be able to do that.
So even to do the flyover, he would need to have land on would be the western side of 495?
On the western side of 495.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got land over on this side.
Okay.
But he doesn't have
Alright.
land on the other side. So that's problematic. Access off an interstate must be to a public road. It can't be to a private drive or a private facility. And the third is the minimum spaces between interchanges is 1 mile. There's less than 2 miles between 85 and 109, so that would require a variance. And I can tell you from experience, I think you know that I'm a civil engineer, huh? Federal highway officials rarely grant these kind of variants because it would set a precedent and a whole cascade of requests from all over the country to do this. That's problematic. If somehow an on and off ramp variants were granted, permitting, if this was publicly funded, permitting and construction times would be measured in decades. And I say that with conviction because there's a similar thing going on up in Lowell, where they are adding an interchange to 495 or want to, and it's supported by the businesses in the area, it's supported by local politicians, it's supported by the representatives and senators at Congress. It's been in the works for 10 years, and there's no funding in sight, and it's still in preliminary design. So, bottom line is, the important thing here is do not accept a proposal promising dedicated access from 495 unless the entire highway project is funded by the developer, number one, and number two, developer has complete construction documents that would be approved by Federal Highway and Mass DOT. Don't do it on a promise, because he can't guarantee approval of the interchange. So somehow that's got to be worked into the agreement. Then, if there's a fallback, you know, local road access to the casino would be a disaster, even no matter how much they rebuild them, because, in my opinion, the casino should not be allowed to open until 495 access is constructed. If you look at local access, 16 and 85 are now carrying twice the traffic they were designed to carry. And you know that from personal experience, I'm sure. Imagine what it would be like for our residents on the east side of town. Imagine how that would impede traffic flow to our industrial areas like EMC and Waters on Bear Hill and the businesses on Fortune Boulevard. So, and then finally, who's going to pay for the wear and tear on the local roads? Because, you know, people from surrounding communities going to the casino will use local roads. They're not going on 495. And that amount of traffic, we're talking, John, you talked about what, 40,000 visitors a day? Our population is what, 28,000?
28,000, yeah.
Yeah, so we're doubling the size of the residents of Milford every day going to that, using the local roads. So we say local roads should not be an option in any way except for emergency vehicles. John?
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Moving quickly here, the next topic is the effect of the casino on fire and EMS services in town. And as we previously said, Norwich, Connecticut is a good demographic comparison for Milford. It's where the bulk of the casino workers live. And as you can see, Norwich, Connecticut, the casino-related EMS call volume has risen between 2,000 and 3,000 calls per year above what it was prior to the casino. Now, many towns in Connecticut surrounding the casino complain of high 911 call volume. And the other issue is, our concern is the direct route from where the casino is proposed and the Milford Hospital is right through the most congested road in Milford, right up Route 16 and so forth. So that's yet another problem. As you can see from this chart here, comparing Glastonbury, which is the non-casino town, and Norwich, go to the bottom one, 5,600 emergency calls in Norwich and only 1867 in Glastonbury. Quite a huge difference. Steve?
If I could just ask you something, John, because
Yeah.
what is, I'm looking at this paperwork here that you have, and you're comparing Norwich to Milford, and over here you've got the 911 calls of Norwich, 23,000. Is that?
Where is that, Brian?
That's on this, in this package here, on fire and emergency. We have Milford, this is charted out the year 2011. 911 calls for Milford is roughly 6,400, And then in 2011, 911 call volume for Norwich was 23,000.
Yeah.
So that's almost 4 times as much. But I'm
Well,
not sure, is that a different year or
It
something?
is, it's 2007 to 2008.
Yeah, it's a different year, and of course, Norwich is, 41,000, Milford's only 27, 28,000, so that it's not a direct
A
comparison.
little bit bigger, but.
Yeah, it's a little
Okay.
bit bigger, but,
All right.
okay, Steve.
Thank you.
Jobs.
Jobs. Casino will bring us lots of jobs. It's true, there's lots of employees, measured in the thousands in the casino. Sounds great. It's what I hear a lot when folks are casually talking about the casino development. I never hear, though, of what kinds of casino jobs. How about over 80%, and this comes right off of Foxwood's roster of personnel now and jobs. 80% of casino jobs in our research pay less than $26,000 a year, in many cases for a 12-hour shift. So basically, that's minimum wage and dead-end jobs. For comparison, Milford's median family income right now is reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics as $81,000 a year. So that would not be the kind of jobs that I think would be terribly attractive to our citizens. Nonetheless, Foxborough has thousands of people holding these low-paying jobs. So how do they find the workers? They import them. There are plenty of people from depressed areas of our country and third world countries who would love to earn minimum wage. Where are they going to live? Where will they go to school, get health care? Those issues are going to be addressed by John in a couple of minutes. So, what will a casino do for unemployment? Again, we're using Norwich, Connecticut, to compare to Milford. And we picked Norwich, of course, because it's one of the adjacent communities to the Foxwoods Casino. This graph is by U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, and it measures unemployment rate. And all the way back to 2001, it was hovering for all three around 5%. Then, of course, in 2008, 2009, we had the major recession and a big jump of unemployment. And pretty similar here, except for Milford. Now, notice Milford is like around 8%, where the United States as a whole and Norwich, Connecticut is up around 9 and 10%. So what happens in 2010 when we started a recovery? Here's what unemployment happened in Milford, okay? And it dropped down to 5% by last December. Look what happens in the United States. It sort of drops down to 7.5%, 8%. Norwich stays up at 9 and 10%. And yet, they have a casino, and we don't. Okay, so effect on unemployment, I think that chart describes that it has little effect because the jobs are not going to the local citizens. Housing and schools, John?
Okay. So the next thing that we wanted to look at was the effect of the casino on our local housing market and our schools. And we believe that the casino workers moving into town will put a significant pressure on the local housing market. For instance, in Norwich, Connecticut, zoning complaints increased from 137 to 503 from 2002 to 2006. And Norwich city officials attributed most of these increases to illegal rooming home conversions. And what that means is there's a sharing of beds in shifts known as hotbedding, which is a very common practice among casino workers who earn low wages. And remember, 80% of the workers at the casino are low wage. One shift of workers returns to home only to be replaced at the casino by another. So this term, hotbedding, denotes the bed is always warm. And we know that the town of Milford has had good results with dealing with the overcrowding in our in our housing and our multifamily housing. But this casino will set those, successes back, and will present, a problem for the staff and so forth. So there would be a need for additional staffing and other requirements. The effect on schools is obviously, related to housing in that, well, let me give you a quote from Elaine Bono, who's a long-term planning commission member from Ledyard. She said, "I witnessed firsthand how casinos take business away from local businesses. So many employees had to be brought into the area to support the casino, along with their families, that there was a crunch on the affordable housing market, overcrowding in our local schools, and of course that put a strain on the local school budget." The town of Norwich, which is right next door, and we've talked about it, it went from 40 English as a second language students to 400 in a span of 10 years. Imagine what the cost of that would be to Milford. And finally, as a Norwich City Councilor candidate recently said, "Our school system is heavily impacted by the transient population shifts caused by our proximity to the casinos. Student turnover last year in K through 8 was the equivalent of 6 full classes." Steve.
Okay. Environmental considerations. There's a number of environmental issues associated, obviously, with a project of this magnitude that will radically change the suburban nature of our town, specifically overwhelming our drinking water supply and wastewater treatment systems, trash generated by this mega facility, air pollution from traffic, loss of the only remaining undeveloped forested area in our town, including endangered species habitat, and the density of population will skyrocket, as John just described. Now, some of these issues are covered in other areas of our presentation, so we're not going to dwell on those again. But the big question is, why would we ever want to give up the semi-rural suburban environment of our town to create the inconvenience, the monetary cost, crime, overcrowding, unhealthiness, and just plain ugliness of a big city environment? Because that's what is going to happen to our environment. Why did our newer citizens and we're not talking about, Milford Townies being retro here. Why did our new citizens move into town? Could it be that they didn't want to have to deal with all of these big city issues, and this was the town that they chose to live in? And we're risking, in no uncertain terms, changing that environment. John?
Thanks, Steve. Okay, there's no slide. The next thing is the effect of casinos on our residential property values. And what statistics generally show is that the lower-end rental market will benefit from a casino. And of course, this is due to the influx of low-end, unskilled labor moving into Milford and the surrounding towns. But the higher end of the housing market will likely see a negative impact. And this is due to the increased traffic, crime, and the negative impacts to the schools. And so that's more where Milford is the first with a lower end. That would work for perhaps Worcester or Lawrence, but most, the high-end homes would be, significantly impacted in Milford. The impact that traffic increase has had on home values in Preston, Connecticut is a good example. Preston, again, is adjacent to the casinos, to one of the casinos in Connecticut, and a recent revaluation of properties in Preston shows that home values of properties within a quarter of a mile of the casino are as much as 20% lower than a similar home, further away from the casino. And this has had a huge financial impact on those residents. Steve?
Okay. Community economic expansion. We're told that the development will spin off economic growth in Milford. A study from UMass focused on local economic growth from casino development, and it concluded, and I'm going to quote some items from that study. Towns will not experience spillover economic growth stimulated by a community, by a casino, because casinos are unique compared to other types of destination tourism, because all the ancillary spending, food, entertainment, shopping, hotels, occurs inside the casino complex. Profits are retained by casino operators and shipped out of town, out of state, and sometimes out of country to the investors. Casino workers in those minimum wage jobs John just spoke about don't spend in the local community. Typically, they send large portions of their earnings out of country through remittance rather than buy services from the community. Legend, Connecticut has lived through this experience. You know, the Legend town planner backed up this study in a telephone interview, and he said, the only economic growth the Legend community has seen spinning off from the casino development is a new Dunkin' Donuts in a hotel built and owned by the casino. Everything casino customers need is internal. There's no need for off-site business expansion. That's a direct quote from somebody that's lived it, the town planner. In fact, quite the opposite is true. What do you think is going to happen to our local community restaurants and hotels and entertainment business? 89, 45, all Prestos, you know? What's going to happen to those businesses? Their business is going to drain to the casino complex, and they will be devastated, and some will end up closing. The net effect of the casino in our midst, more transfer of money out of our community, loss of a diversified, stable base of community-based businesses who have a personal stake and live in town, and further dependency on the revenue from the casino. Just kind of like picture a giant vacuum cleaner with a large sucking sound, taking money and local community jobs out of Milford, lost forever. A little bit about social costs. Our tradition in Milford has been based on traditional values which promote close-knit extended families, celebrations of our immigrant cultural background, and a close-knit sense of community. In our little town, we have 2 Catholic parishes, a Jewish temple, traditional Protestant churches, and numerous neighborhood places of worship. Allowing a large community development into our town with the crime, gambling addiction, drugs and prostitution, and influx of temporary workers that inevitably comes with this kind of development would, over the long run, erode our traditional values as a community. And what's the upside for our quality of life if we go with this? The literature identifies that the clearest social cost of a casino development in a community is the increase in addictive gambling that results. A study by community research partners on the social impact of casinos estimates that 1.2% of all adults in the United States, imagine what that number is, are pathological gamblers. Another 1.5% are problem gamblers. And that's like 3% of our entire adult population. Why should we care? Because those addictions lead to real costs that directly affect all of us. Job losses, unemployment, welfare benefits, gambling, disorder treatments, bankruptcies, divorces, imprisonment, and legal aid costs. Hit us right in the pocketbook. The likelihood of becoming a pathological or problem gambler, by the way, is doubled for a person living within 50 miles of a casino. Okay, John.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so the before we sum up, the final topic is municipal planning requirements. I mean, I think it's clear that consideration of this casino is going to require a top-to-bottom review of the long-term capital needs and requirements of the town. I mean, additional infrastructure burden to the police, fire, schools, DPW, I mean, you name it. All of those departments are going to have to be reviewed for both buildings, manpower, equipment needs, and so forth. So that's one thing. And then, of course, a review of the the zoning bylaws that we have on the books to make sure that everything is up to speed for this unique kind of proposal that we're dealing with. And any planning and zoning bylaws as well may need to be modified to keep other undesirable type of businesses out of our community. Steve's going to do a
So in
conclusion.
closure here, what we just presented, although you may have experienced it as long and tedious, is only an executive summary of the impacts the proposed community development would bring down on our community. We have left you each with a copy of this summary presentation and a draft of that report our movement has developed, complete with references and data to support the statements that we made tonight. When we first got into this, we had no idea of the issues that Milford would have to deal with if this development were accepted. In fact, I was only remotely interested because I thought it would be physically isolated, and would bring in tax revenue and not affect me as a Milford resident. As we got into the research, I began to realize how much this would significantly affect me and every Milford resident. It will forever change the character of our community. It will cost us dearly in social impact and increased infrastructure costs that John just described. It'll destroy local businesses and take money out of our community. And that's not speculation. That's what happened in other host communities. And to back that up, we recommend that you take a look at the video on our website and hear the direct testimony of people in communities now hosting casinos who wished they knew how hosting a casino would really change their environment, their pocketbooks, and their way of life. And that's why John and I are here tonight, and all these folks are here tonight. And that's why 100 volunteers and growing have developed this information for your use and our citizens' education. Casino No Milford, again, is not a protest group. We're not opposed to the idea of anybody gambling and having fun at a casino. There'll be 3 casinos in the state within easy reach of Milford residents. We simply don't want to see our community devastated by the presence of a community development with all of its baggage in our hometown. You, as a Board of Selectmen, could choose to shut this down right now by refusing to continue discussion. We simply ask tonight that you seriously consider that option. Should you decide to proceed with negotiations, we offer you the group's assistance and resources, and we have plenty. We got very competent and skilled people on our communities, and we would like to offer that service to you as you deliberate. Thank you.
Nice job, John,
Yes.
how big is Ledyard, population-wise?
It's, I believe, 13 or 14,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
then
it's-
Norwich is the surrounding community?
Yes, right adjacent to Ledyard is
Okay, but
Norwich. That's
Ledyard
where they
is-
all live.
Okay, Ledyard is the one that actually houses the...
Yes,
Okay.
Ledyard is, but it's very rural. Where where Foxwoods was built was very rural on, farm roads and so forth. So,
And where's the Mohegan Sun located?
what town is
I
Mohegan?
don't know. Anybody know?
Unkersville.
Okay, all right. No, a very good presentation. I mean, all of these issues that you talk about are real issues, obviously need to be examined thoroughly. There's a lot of good work that your committee has done, and that's why I invited you here, so that we could have this forum, we could get this discussion started, and that this board and the town can get fully informed if and when a proposal comes forward. But with that, let me turn it over to my colleagues. Dean?
Yeah, no question. Nice, very detailed presentation, and I think, it shows all the people with their concerns, and I think that the chairman from the very beginning has laid out a plan on how this should be looked at. I think as a selectman, I have a responsibility to the people who don't want it, and then there are certain, there's a good percentage of people who are saying, provide us the information, like we've always done. John, when you were on the Board of Selectmen, we listened to people, we try to obtain all the information, then at the end of the day, we took a vote. And I think what's nice about this situation is that all the people of Milford will be able to vote if it goes forward. We don't have a proposal in front of us, so we can't tell you anything about what's happening. But I think this one person, we did a couple of weeks ago, we voted to hire a legal firm to assist the town when we received the proposal. I think this information, I liken this to at one time we had the power plant. And back then there was a lot of the same concerns about cancer, EMFs, traffic, all those things. We worked very closely with the groups. Matter of fact, you make us work harder. And I think that's good to make sure we have all the facts. And the only thing I say is that I think we have to see what happens. We'll use this information. We'll call you. We have the spokespersons here now. And, whatever has to be done. Because I think we all feel that Milford's a special place. And I don't think we're going to allow anything to happen to the town of Milford that would not be in the best interest of everyone. So those are my feelings. And once again, the research, you're a serious group. You've gotten the information. And as we go forward, if we do go forward, we're certainly going to have many, many discussions, and we'll be working together, exchanging ideas, information. It'll be a total open process. And the only thing I want, if it does go forward, that the people of Milford, when they vote, they'll be informed and they know about all these issues. A lot of these issues we've already talked about somewhat, but a lot of other issues that you brought out, those are new concerns. So they have to definitely be delved into by engineers, by scientists, by environmental people, and to make sure that we have all the information for the residents. So I commend you for coming in. I thank you, and I'm sure that we'll be working very closely. As Brian said, though, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so we have to wait and see what happens.
Put it up for a vote, and let's see what the re-election looks like next time you're running.
Excuse me, sir.
Easy.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. We've been very respectful. We're here to get information, okay? We have a responsibility to find out as much information as this proposal that we can. So I'm sorry, if I don't know as much as you, but I'm willing to try to learn, and I'm open-minded to this. So I would just ask for the same respect that we accorded you. Bill?
No, I just want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
I think the caliber of presentation and the integrity that the presenters have made is a lot. I mean, that goes a lot, okay, and it means a lot. And I think that's what we need. Steve, when you first came in, Steve, we talked briefly, and you said, hey, we have to work together, whatever the case may be. And I think those are the types of things that we have to continue to do. John, we served on the Board of Selectmen many times. We had many discussions about many difficult issues. And I remember you always said, hey, let's get all the information, put everything out on the table, and then we'll see what happens. So I think those types of things are advantageous. I think that'll go a long way. That's progressive. I think comments like this gentleman just made, I think serves no purpose. And I think it'll hurt your cause. So let's do it above, let's do it above board, put all the information on the table, and then see what happens. But I commend you once again for the presentation, and also for the people for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve, John, do you have the names of the folks that attended this evening that are from the community?
Yeah, we had sign-in sheets. We can provide that to
All
you.
right, that's something that'd be helpful to me. All right, so for those people that didn't sign it, it would be helpful to get a copy of the board, because part of what I'm looking to understand is which of those residents we represent. I have from emails different people that have contacted me, and I know the other members have been contacted, and so it's just important that that we differentiate those that are interested in influencing the community from outside of the community, and those that are influencing the community from inside the community. It's important to me because those are the people I represent, I've been elected to represent, and I want to make that distinction.
We'll make that available to you.
Okay, that would be helpful. You know, I have to agree with the speakers, the board members, my fellow board members, in saying that your presentation was very well done. Appreciate the time that it took, what I'm guessing is an awful lot of man-hours to put that together. So I appreciate that from this committee, and to the two presenters who did an outstanding job this evening. Thank you for the approach that you're taking, because it's helpful that we keep up adult dialogue in a respectful manner. It's important, as Dino said, to the cause, that you not lose sight of that. But it was all of those things that you mentioned that's helped me understand and helped me form an opinion that says that with respect to our quality of life in Milford, casino is not something I support. So with and I say that not because I need to understand whether it's 6 stories or 4, whether it's 800 rooms or 300 rooms, or whether it's 5 restaurants or 3. It is those things that you mentioned with respect to its location, the promises of 495 interchange that I don't believe, and the impacts associated with traffic and water specifically. There are others, sewer. Even if they were to build their own waste treatment facility, that is on our recharge area. So I have an awful lot of concerns that I don't think, you know, to answer a question, you asked a rhetorical question, but I'll answer it. Why would we do it? The only reason that I've seen that communities reach out to casinos is about money. And so the question becomes, to what extent is our quality of life for sale? And there are things that you mentioned with regard to water supply that you can't sell what you don't have. Specifically when I look at east-west traffic, and specifically Route 16 from the hospital to Route 109 in that area that's already taking 40 minutes on a Saturday to get through, when I look at pinch points such as the Dilla Street intersection at Cedar Street, and when I look at Cedar Street and Main Street, I don't see an awful what money is going to do there unless we're thinking about buying Oliva's and all the businesses on either side of Main Street to open that up. And I guess the Olivas have something to say about that. But all that said, that is an area that when you look at traffic studies that is part of what's driving our congestion. There's not a lot that can be done. I know the chief and I have had several discussions about that particular interchange and the need to let people out of, what is that, Middleton Street, and what it's doing to the rest of the town in terms of traffic. Some portion of this traffic, regardless of its size, is going to have to come through that intersection. Whether they're coming from Douglas, they're coming from Uxbridge, they're coming from, Mendon, wherever. North-south interchange on 495 can only handle so much, but the east-west thing, I just don't see an opportunity to mitigate. But it's for those reasons that I'm concerned about the quality of life, and I don't think that money is a solution here. So I appreciate your comments, appreciate your presentation. For my part, as this goes forward, the only thing I can commit to the community and the residents is I'll do the best I can through this process in a couple of areas. And that's one, to make sure that the relationship remains at arm's length. I was compelled by the presentation that was made in the video that I did watch. When you talked about people making comments about the impact, those were former elected and currently elected town officials. So those weren't residents who felt an inconvenience, but those were people that were hearing from their constituents about the problems it created. And I got the sense in that presentation, that video, that some of them wish they knew now, or wish they knew then what they know now. So I appreciate all the information that's being provided. As Dino said, it's critically important that people speak out in these ways. I appreciate Brian reaching out to this committee and inviting your group to present. You know, and I apologize to the people who couldn't be in the room, because I think they would have seen a presentation that they could be proud of. So thank you.
Let me just add that I have a deep amount of respect for Steve and John's viewpoint on this particular project and how it's evolved, and particularly, Steve, in your conclusion when you talked about you were initially remotely interested, but as you delved into the issue more and got more information, you were able to make an informed decision. That's the responsibility that we have for this town. And as John had indicated, the state set up a process that ultimately may call for a town-wide vote. That is something that we need to respect and treat with a very responsible care. And to me, that means gathering as much information as we can to decide if it's worthwhile to go forward with a town-wide vote. You've correctly cited many of the issues that we believe to be there. Obviously, the on-ramp, off-ramp from 495 could be a showstopper. Environmental issues, water, sewerage, those types of things, even before you get into the societal costs in the community. So what I want you to understand is that we, as members of the Board of Selectmen, are trying to gather as much information on those issues as we can, so that going forward, we can feel comfortable talking to the townspeople that we're making a responsible decision one way or the other. So we obviously have an identification of the issues from your presentation. And again, if a proposal does come forward, those are the types of issues that we need to see how they're going to be addressed or not addressed. And that will really dictate the process from there. But I know you wanted to say something, Steve.
I just wanted to briefly acknowledge, I mean, John and I had the privilege of making the presentation, but we had a lot of very bright and dedicated and passionate people doing that research. A lot of work went into that, and it wasn't us. You know, we had the privilege of making the presentation, but and putting it together in a something that you could bite on. But there are a lot of people, very bright and talented people, have produced this report, the basic report.
Yeah, and I'm very, happy to receive that, and this is the kind of information that, certainly I want, I know the members of the board want, going forward. So again, if a proposal comes forward, these are going to be the key issues that we're going to have to see how they get addressed.
But what I was leading to, Brian, was if you want to tap into that kind of research, okay, the board might consider a citizens committee to help you in gathering the information and deliberating.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of talent out there. I was really surprised at
Sure.
the talent out
Well,
there.
again, that's why I extended the invitation to Ken for this organization to come before the board, to start this process, give us this kind of information, because this is the kind of stuff that I personally, as a selectman, am going to need to be able to make a responsible, informed decision. Because, to perhaps deny the townspeople the right to vote is a right that I take very, very seriously. And if, in fact, I'm going to make that decision, I need to be convinced that it's the proper decision. So that's the process we're at. So I want to thank you very much. I know, Ken had asked for 20 minutes.
We got at least twice that.
I gave you
Thank
55
you.
minutes.
Well, thank you.
and
you very
I
much
have
for
no
that.
problem doing that. It's a very important issue. You've obviously spent a lot of time on this. People feel very passionately about it. I understand that. But I'd like to have all of you realize that what we're trying to do is the best job that we think we can for the town of Milford.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
we will be
Appreciate
in
it.
touch.
Thank you.
We'll work together.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Good job.
You did a great job. Thank you. And you know what? I was like you. Before I came to the meeting, I thought, oh yes, we need a casino. And then after you finished, I was like, I don't think so.
Steve.
John, those sign-up sheets for Milford residents are going to be key, so make sure folks sign it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very well done.
How are you? Okay.
I understand. Absolutely. It's a big issue. It's a big issue. Ryan, doing a nice job.
Take care. Yeah, take care.
We do have other work to get done.
Yeah, there are other items on the agenda.
John, if I could ask you to maybe try to, we got a lot more stuff on the agenda.
What's the trip has?
Steve, you want, yeah.
Because they want to approve it by September 1st. Try to move out. Very, very aggressive.
Okay. All right, let's carry on with the meeting. The next item that we have, thanks, Chief, is a petition for street acceptance.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made to accept, or to remand to the planning board. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Idaho Ave, Rock Hill Farm Road, and a portion of Madden Ave. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? That's unanimous. We also have a petition for Diego Drive.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to remand.
Seconded.
Planning.
Planning Board, public hearing. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. The same for a portion of Broad Street.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. That concludes our public hearings and our scheduled appointments. The next item that we have is the Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sadly, I have a few
Mark,
items.
could you take that outside, please? We're trying to get through the rest of our business. I'm sorry, Louis.
As I said, sadly, I have a few items for you. Mr. DeBartolome had requested at the last meeting a list of things that were going back and forth and that the new town administrator would be addressing, so I've drawn it up and I'll go through them quickly. The Animal Control Office, we've purchased a new van. We sold a 2001 vehicle at auction recently for $2,109.84. The money will be placed in the general fund. The FY14 budget I have completed. Changes can be made as the board and Rick determine. Electricity contract, we awarded it in December of 2012, was set for 2 years. Contract for the energy maintenance, HVAC's just been renewed for 3 years. We added the youth center, and that's effective July 1. Capital projects, updated and submitted a list to the board and the CIC. The fuel oil number 2 contract is good for 1 more year. Rick, don't write these down, we'll have a list for you. Save you that. Police station roof, we've selected the architect. will go out to bid. I spoke to Max this morning, they're just about complete. Town hall roof, we've selected the architect. We need a transfer of funds at the annual town meeting, and as well as a modest appropriation. Town hall window replacement, we've selected an architect. We should be going out within the next couple of weeks. Town hall repainting and stair projects, both have been completed. Net metering contract has been signed. You have a new proposal for the board. You're meeting with Mr. Fitzpatrick next week, and I believe you'll have a new proposal for the board down the road. Town engineer's position, we went through the first round of interviews. Chairman has determined that we'll be submitting, well, what we'll be doing is we whittled a 10 down to 5. We'll be interviewing on March 28th, and then we will be giving the board 2 candidates whom the board will interview. So that's being done. We ordered and received the handicap ramp for Draper Park. It's presently being stored at the Milford Police Station. 2012 annual report will be sent to the printer probably tomorrow. We'll receive it sometime in April. The fireworks bid has been awarded for the 4th of July. The technology report has been submitted this evening. Obviously, you've been involved in that process, and there'll be follow-up on that. The annual town meeting process has begun. The warrant closes this Thursday. You'll be presenting it to the board on the next meeting, which I believe is April 8th, for their approval. I've notified Aldo Chakey, chairman of the Woodland School Building Committee, that I have resigned by virtue of my retirement, and that Mr. Villani will be replacing me on that committee effective April 1st. As this is my last meeting, I'd like to take a minute to recognize one of the good guys, Mike Santora, a town engineer who's retiring in May. Mike's been a valuable, hard-working, and loyal employee, and more importantly, a good friend of mine for many years. His efforts on behalf of the town have been extraordinary, and his service second to none. I won't be around to see him out, but I wish to thank him for everything that he's done and wish him many years of happiness in his retirement. He'll be missed. And finally, on Friday, March 29th, the Board of Selectmen's office will be hosting a welcome for our new town administrator from 12 to noon in the lower level of Town Hall. We invite all department heads, employees, and friends of Rick to stop by and welcome him as he begins his duties as town administrator on the following Monday, April 1st.
Say it from 12 to noon.
Excuse me, ma'am, please. This isn't open session anymore. Well, I mean, it's open session, but it's not an opportunity to speak.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Dean, do you have any comments, questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, no, thanks for the report, Louis, your last report. I think you very nicely and adequately said some beautiful words, Brian, about Louis. He's been a tremendous asset to the community. He's always worked on behalf of the residents, and what I noticed was, over the years, when a person came in who really didn't have a voice, Louis would always take the interest and try to bring things out and made sure that he brought the sentiments back to this board for whatever action could be taken to assist that person. You've made Milford a better place for all the people, for all the residents. We have a special, unique community, and you've been a big part of it over close to 20 years. And you've had a tremendous relationship with the Finance Committee, as evidenced by the chairman here tonight, all the other boards. And I think whenever you've given your recommendation, you've given it to us with integrity, with honor, and something behind it, and it meant something. And I just want to wish you the best of luck, and God bless you.
Bill?
Thank you for the report. It's hard to follow the other two members other than to say I did appreciate the way in which you conducted town business. I always thought you had certainly the best interests of the community in mind. And when you gave advice, you gave it out of a sincere belief that that was the right thing to do. And I appreciate the time that we've spent, Louis, some one-on-one time. So I'm going to wish you well, wish you and your family well, because, at the end of the day, that's really what's important. That you've done so much professionally, and now you get to spend time and greater time with your family is outstanding, and in a way I envy you. So good luck with all of that. And
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You've earned the community's respect, and so has Mr. Villani, and his short stay, he's certainly got a lot of big shoes to fill, and I'm sure he'll do well.
Lou, the only thing I can say is for your last meeting, you really know how to go out with a bang.
Guys never let me go. I came in with a bang.
You
we're
you
going out
really
with that.
light them up, baby. So no, just really just to reiterate what I said, we're going to miss you. There's no question about it. And so much of what you do on a daily basis gets taken for granted, and that's obviously not right. But I think it really is a testament to just the quiet demeanor that you go about your business. So again, on behalf of the town of Milford,
Thank you very much.
for
And thank you.
all of your
Each
years.
It's been my pleasure.
Is there any old business? Dean?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Bill?
No, not at this time.
Under new business, we need renewal of seasonal club licenses, Maspinock Rod and Gun Club, Inc., and the Sons of Italy Dramatic and
Motion, Mr.
Sportsman
Chairman.
Club.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor. Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have a nomination for the Inspector of Animals, Rochelle Thompson.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor. Any opposed? We received a memo from John Pilla indicating that he's trying to work through with the Veterans Property Tax Work-Off Program, and I think that's a little bit in neutral right now because of the Senior Center Director. So I don't think there's any action that we want to take on this right now. Let's just table this and see how things work out in that regard over the next month or so. We have a recommendation from Mike Santora, the town engineer, who consulted with the police chief and is recommending the approval of the request of the Handicap Commission to designate the first parking space on Congress Street closest to the intersection of Main Street to be handicap
Motion,
accessible.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion
I'll
made, seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have a request from Maspinock Rod and Gun Club, Inc. for an all-alcohol license for March 23rd, 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. at the club
Motion,
function
Mr. Chairman.
hall. Motion made and
Second.
seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. We have a request from the Gutierrez Company to place on the annual town meeting warrant a zoning bylaw change. And
Motion,
this
Mr.
would need to be referred to the planning board for public hearing. Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? That too is unanimous. We have a add-on tonight. It's a memo from Lou. He spoke with Vincent Scuccieri of the Council on Aging, and after speaking with the Senior Center Director's family, is recommending that Dolores Alvarez de Vida be appointed as the temporary interim Senior Center Director effective March 27th, 2013. Dolores has agreed to this arrangement on a temporary basis. She would be working 35 hours per week, and Lou has recommended pay at grade 2, step 1, for that portion of time that she works in this temporary position. The senior center has been without its director for 5 months due to personal and medical reasons, and that's the the basis for the recommendation coming from Lou.
Mr. Chairman, we have two great individuals at the senior center, and Dolores has been assisting Ruth Ann for a long time, so I think the acting appointment would be very good for the town of Milford. I'll make a motion.
I agree, I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Please know that everyone's thoughts and prayers are with Ruth Ann Bleakney and her family. She's been a wonderfully dedicated employee to this town for so long, and just has done so much for the seniors of this community, and we wish her and her family all of the best as they deal with this personal crisis. That's a unanimous vote. Is there any other new business, Dean? Bill? Any new business?
No.
Under correspondence, we received the report from Leonard Beaudry on the technology assessment, and I don't want to take any action on it
No, you're
tonight.
right, yeah.
But, you know, I think what I'd like to have the board consider as we move forward on this is, you know, to once again consider a consultant taking a look top to bottom of our technology needs town-wide, and/or the reassembly of the technology task force, which was done about 10 years ago. Because I think if you compare Len's report with the last report from the previous director, there's some serious discrepancy and I think questions that arise as to exactly where we are. And for too long, I felt like the board has been sitting on the sidelines on this issue, and I really think it's something that we need to get our arms around. But I'm not looking for any action on it tonight. I'd just like to have both of you think about that, and at our next meeting, come forward with any recommendations you might think appropriate.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the FinCom Chairman, Mark, for his support as far as the additional persons to assist. I think whatever we do, and I think we're going in the right direction, but I think this was a good report, and I think the individual needs help, and we have the support of the FinCom.
Absolutely.
You got a copy in your box, yeah.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
But,
right. At another time, that'll be good to discuss that.
Yeah, but not tonight. But
No.
let's just think about it and see whatever action we might want to take. We received a response from the Holliston Board of Selectmen looking to meet with us at our April 8th meeting. I think what I would like to do is get back to them and say we, would anticipate, I guess, receiving a proposal at some point, and I really don't know if it's advantageous to meet with them until we get a specific proposal. So if that's okay, I'd like to get that correspondence back to them.
Sure.
Just indicate that if and when we do receive a specific proposal, we'll be in contact with them to see whatever process is accorded. We received notification from the police chief about the retirement of Sergeant Michael Pagetti and the promotion of Officer Michael Pasicane to Sergeant. Mike Pasicane has served the Milford as a Milford police officer for 26 years. Most recently, he was assigned as a licensing officer. As a result of this promotion, he'll be reassigned as the duty supervisor on the 12 a.m. to the 8 a.m. shift. So congratulations to Mike. As I've dealt with him all of those years, always been very, very professional, courteous, and I think an excellent police officer, and I think he'll make a great sergeant going forward.
Mr. Chairman, if we could send Michael a letter of, best luck, and he followed in his grandfather's footsteps, and like you said, he did a nice job, and his grandfather was such a favorite of all of us,
Yeah.
Emilio.
And that'll be great. So we can do that.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to wish both Michael Pagetti and Michael Pasicane best of luck going forward.
Absolutely. Under correspondence, we received an update from the tax collector regarding various license payment agreements that are progressing. We have correspondence from Dr. Mike Fitzpatrick, Blackstone Valley Voc Regional Tech in terms of moving forward with expansion of their facilities and incurring a certain degree of debt. The Milford Personnel Board has recommended the appointment of Charles Abramson of 17 Westbrook Street to the position of alternate member of the board. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
A second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. And also, I asked Lou to provide you correspondence from the Planning Board Chairman, which expressed concern about the town engineer hiring position, and my response to him of March 7th, which resulted in the process that Lou is now going forward on. So those are all of the items that I have. Do you have anything? Dean?
That's all.
Yeah, Bill, is there anything
I
else?
only had a question with respect to the lack of correspondence, so I just had a quick question. Was there any response from the casino, Mr. Nunes and Crossroads LLC, or anybody from Foxwoods in response to the letter they received that we sent them?
Talking the letter relative to the,
Our request from our attorney.
there's some things going on between Nunes and Foxwood that we're not privy to, nor do you care about. Towards that end, I believe Jerry has scheduled a meeting with the attorneys from Chicago and Foxwoods on Wednesday. I'm gonna be unable to attend, but Rick will be sitting in for me, and he'll keep the board apprised of what happens. So that's this Wednesday, I believe, and they're coming in from Chicago and Foxwoods.
So is that to mean that, I appreciate that detail, but is that to mean, we have not received any correspondence or communication back from them with regard to their letter that they received?
Again, I know Jerry's been on the phone with Mr. Nunes and Comcast. Mr. Nunes, I believe, was initially unhappy with the numbers and provided additional numbers that supported it. Jerry then got numbers from Taunton and other communities that said the numbers were fine. And
Yeah,
it appears Mr. Nunes is not responsible for that anyway. Foxwoods is the money folks, and they're taking over, and apparently they had no problem with it.
And they're not, but they haven't signed anything and
They
returned
have-
it back?
To my knowledge, they have not
Yeah.
signed anything.
Along those lines, and I'm glad you brought that up, I'm not sure which of you asked for benchmark data on host agreement.
Oh, I asked Jerry to look into Taunton.
Yeah, that's helpful
I think that's the
because-
most similar.
Yeah.
I think Springfield went through a different process.
Yeah.
But Taunton, I think, is almost apples for apples.
Yeah, that was helpful, and it's not in the correspondence here, but what it said is the costs associated with that were in line and consistent with
Right.
the costs that we're looking at, the
Right, you
costs that
sent
we've
out an
agreed
email,
Foxwood,
didn't you?
yes.
To all the-
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
right.
no, we all got it. I was just, while you brought that up, I wanted to say it was a good idea and a good request to go get some benchmark data. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
thank you, Liz.
So, that's the conclusion of the meeting. We do not have an executive session. Motion to adjourn. Motion made.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Good night.
So would you